Do you believe art can change the world? So do I. On this show, we meet artists whose work is doing just that. Welcome to Art Heals All Wounds. I'm your host, Pam Uzel. Happy holidays to you if you celebrate any holidays this month. Today is Christmas, which I celebrate, so I'm taking the day off to be with family. Art Heals All Wounds is still in the climate and the environment season. Regular full-length episodes will resume on January 8th. Today, I'm sharing something that I received from a listener, a newsletter reader, and also longtime friend, Scott Stark. When I think of Scott, I think brilliant experimental filmmaker. And I sometimes forget that Scott is also a musician. When he heard that I was interviewing artists whose work addressed climate and the environment, he sent me a link to a song he'd recorded, Watching the Waters Rise. I asked Scott if I could share this song with listeners on Christmas, and he kindly agreed. It's a fun, jaunty melody. The lyrics, on the other hand, kind of dark and cynical. So with that in mind, away we go.
I own stock in a power plant. I figure that's where the money's at. I don't care if the world is flat, watching the waters rise. I don't bother with the golden rules. I make my living off of fossil fuels. I'm not like those liberal tools, watching the water rise. And I'll be just fine, buying my way to the front of the line. No tears dripping from my eyes, standing on a mountain while the waters rise. I won't be running like the poor folk do. I'll be sitting on a megachurch pew, praying to a God who don't look like you, watching the waters rise. Everyone's crying about the coral reef, killing off the oceans with no relief, filling up the air with gloom and doom, but nothing's quite as pretty as an algae bloom. And I'll be just fine, buying my way to the front of the line. No tears dripping from my eyes, standing on a mountain while the waters rise. I don't mind if the lights go dark, 'cause I'll be buying me a custom ark, as long as I can find a place to park, watching the waters rise. The medium's the message, said some guys, but all I hear from them is lies. I never told no medium lies, mine are supersized. And I'll be just fine, driving past the losers on the welfare line. No tears dripping from my eyes, watching from the mountain as the waters rise. Coastlines are disappearing, the forests are running dry. The oceans all are dead zones, fish need to learn to fly. Population starving, war is no surprise. But Fox and Friends make it seem so fun, watching the waters rise. Everyone's telling me what to do. They shout global warming when I say achoo, but I'll be high and dry, so the joke's on you, watching the water rise. Armageddon will soon arise, the end is near, preachers do surmise. I'll take my Armageddon with a side of fries, watching the waters rise. Nothing's ever gonna change my mind. I'm liking how I'm living and I'm feeling fine. Climate change, something I'm denying. Staying up ahead of the water line. And I'll be just fine, buying my way to the front of the line. No tears dripping from my eyes, standing on a mountain while the waters rise.
You're listening to Art Heals All Wounds. As I mentioned in the intro, Scott is a brilliant filmmaker. He's been working on a long-form film about climate catastrophe, and I'll link you to his website where you can read about part 1 of this film called Love and the Epiphanists. I asked him if working on this film helped him with anxiety about climate change. Scott said that working on it allowed him to rant and to find some sense of humor about the profound ignorance of it all. His work is a coping strategy. Interestingly, Scott isn't the first artist I've talked to this season to say that their work is much more about coping with where we find ourselves at this current moment. Do any of you use art or creativity to cope with issues that would otherwise be too difficult? I'd love to hear about it. You can leave me a voicemail at my website, arthealsallwoundspodcast.com, and I'll share it on the show. One thing I can promise you is that your voicemail will help someone else. Also, I'm on social media less and less. If you want to reach me, you can contact me through my website or sign up for my very infrequent newsletters. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for listening. The music you've heard in this podcast is by Ketsa and Loco.